Hey there guys, welcome back to AFC Game by Game. This is my preview for the game on Saturday, Arsenal versus Chelsea. Now I know this video is coming a bit prematurely, it is only Wednesday and of course the game is at 5:30 on Saturday, but I had a free day today, I thought why not, might as well make a video. And as well, there seems to be a lot of negative feeling around the club at the minute. We've just heard over the past 24 hours, even less than that, about the last 12-15 hours, that Sven Mislintat is looking to depart Arsenal Football Club. And it feels like we've only just got the guy in. It feels like a bit of a backward step, this, considering that at the start of the season, when we had this project in place with Ivan Gazidis at the helm, who's now left the club for AC Milan, joined with Raul Sanelli, Mislintat, and a few other people that had come in. I can't remember their names, but we had this structure in place at Arsenal Football Club where we looked like a team that were going to take things very seriously this season. We had Unai Emery as the head coach, whose sole responsibility was to just focus on the football, and you had these other guys in place to do other things. Now, first thing to say is I don't think Mislintat is necessarily a reason to be going absolutely mental about things. I know that his departure does seem much of a surprise, and it's not a welcome bit of news, but he is essentially a scout. He's our head of recruitment, and he is a scout, so there are plenty more scouts out there. I'm sure that Raul Sanelli has got something in place to move on from Sven Mislintat. We know that Mertesacker as well was part of the recruitment process for players like Aubameyang last year, so if Mertesacker maybe is to take that step up, who knows, but I'm sure that Arsenal Football Club can find other scouts capable of what Mislintat has done. And to be honest, I don't think Mislintat has exceeded expectations or even lived up to the hype that was given to him when he came to Arsenal Football Club. Fair enough, I would say that as our head of recruitment, he hasn't really been given much of an opportunity to recruit, especially this window, given that there's no funds, and that's probably one of the reasons that he wants to leave, because he's not allowed to bring in the players that he wants to bring in. We can only bring players in on loan, and I'm sure that those players like maybe Banega, etc., are Unai Emery's choice rather than Mislintat's, and they've kind of had a bit of a disagreement on that front, which I think is probably one of the reasons why this has happened, a breakdown in communication between Emery, Mislintat and Raul Sanelli. So that's one of the reasons for it. But as I was saying, Mislintat has brought in players such as Torreira, such as Guendouzi, such as Leno, and players that he has to, Mavropanos even last window, and players that will last us for the next 10 years. You would hope if they commit their futures to Arsenal Football Club, and a lot of those players aren't there quite yet. Mavropanos, Guendouzi, I don't think they're at a level just yet, but someone like Torreira, who's been an absolute gem, we got him from an absolute snip. His market value must have doubled in the time that he's been playing for Arsenal, so credit has to go to him there. But as well, I think he's played it quite safe with some of the players that he's helped bring in. Aubameyang, he knew him from his time at Dortmund. Socrates, he knew him from his time at Dortmund. Leno, he's an experienced player in the Bundesliga. He'd have definitely seen him during his time at Dortmund as well. So I think, it's been a bit of a 50-50 move with Mislintat. He's helped bring in some experienced players that he already had connections with, and he's helped bring in some gems that will hopefully turn out to be very good players for Arsenal in the near future. So I don't think it's the end of the world by any means, but it is, as I say, a backward step, because we had this process in place and now we're kind of taking one of the bricks out of the wall, as it were. So I'm a bit surprised to see it happen, and as I can say, I only hope there's a plan in place, but there's no reason to be getting overly upset about how things are panning out. I would be a bit upset on how other things are going at Arsenal. Of course, the loss to West Ham United, the terrible performance that was just lacking in energy, lacking in motivation, and was so reminiscent of last season. That's a cause for concern in my eyes. And Unai Emery's team selections, the omission of Mesut Ozil, that's more of a reason for concern than the omission of Sven Mislintat. I'm really worried about this game against Chelsea, and I'm not feeling overly upbeat about it at all. Of course, on the day, I'm sure I'll be excited, and I'll be looking forward to seeing how Arsenal perform in the derby. But it's a must-win game for us. There's no other way of putting it. We have to win this game. We're 6 points behind Chelsea, which at this stage in the season, I know everyone's been saying throughout the course of this season, it's a long season, but there's 4 months left. It's not that long. It's going to sneak up on us really, really quickly, and we're 6 points behind. And with the games we've got coming up against United, City, we've still got to go to grounds where we notoriously don't do quite well either. We've got to go to places like Goodison Park. We've got a lot of tough away games, and given how poor we've been away from home, not just this season, but last season as well, I'm very concerned. 6 points, that gap can only go one of two ways. If we don't win this game against Chelsea, it will only increase, and we're looking at potentially finishing 5th or 6th, which would not be a great place to be in at all. It'd be a real step in the wrong direction if we didn't get a step closer to the top 4 this season, if we didn't at least challenge to get in there. And we have to win this game. We have to close that gap to 3 points, and then we've got to beat Man United, and I think we've got to go to City, and not lose too badly. We've got to not get our goal difference absolutely pummeled. We've got to go there, and if we could get a draw, that'd be fantastic. But I think at this stage, I hate to say it, but I think it's a bit unrealistic to say we'll go to City and get a draw. But they've looked a bit ropey at times this season. I've got to be realistic and look at where we are as a club. Beating Chelsea, United and City is going to be a massive uphill task for where we are. Had we gone into these games on the back of that 22 game unbeaten run, I'd be definitely speaking a lot differently, but I'm just confused about how things have changed so drastically. Ozil's omission is a big part of that, and there's talks about the club trying to get him out this January transfer window. I just find it absolutely insane. He's one of our most creative players. He's offered so much to the club since he's been here. We've got two of the best strikers in Europe for him to feed off. Players that are in their prime. You've got Aubameyang, who's coming up to 30. You've got Lacazette in his late 20s now, and you've got Ozil who's 30 now. So, I mean, what better time is there for these players to play for the next 2-3 years and kind of play in the peak of their careers together? I just find it absolutely mental. And to lose Ramsey as well, we're losing two of our most creative players, two players that have contributed so many goals and assists, and two players that have worked so well throughout their careers at Arsenal. So I just find it absolutely barbaric, to be honest. And I do hope that in this game against Chelsea, Emery does revise the team lineup and we do see a team that's a lot more potent going forwards. I don't want to see three at the back again. I know that I've definitely defended Emery's choice of doing it, and I do think if we've got the right players, then it works. At this moment in time, I don't think we've got the right players to play, and I want to see another attacker instead of another defender in this game. I really want us to go for Chelsea, because defensively they've looked quite shaky at times throughout the course of this season. They haven't looked overly better than us in that department. Going forwards, they seem to be a bit confused about what their lineup is. They weren't overly convincing going forward against Newcastle. They seem to be playing Eden Hazard as a false nine with Pedro and Willian off him. So, you know, I'm not too sure how Chelsea are going to line up in this game. Of course, it's Olivier Giroud's return to the Emirates. that should be exciting. But I want to see actually Arsenal go into this game with a 4-1-2-1-2 formation. I think that will work best for us at the minute. We don't have any natural wide men. The only wingers we've got are our fullbacks. So play Bellerin and Kolasinac at fullback. We definitely open up ourselves to danger from players like Eden Hazard, like Hudson-Odoi if he's still at Chelsea. Come this game if he's still in favour there. Like Willian. So it's going to be really tough to try and keep them quiet in that sense, and I think we've got to accept that they're going to have a lot of joy down the flanks in this game. So it's a massive game for the centre-half partnership, and of course we know that Mavropanos played in the under-23s. I'd like to think that he's going to come back into the first team fold in the next couple of weeks. This game will come too soon for him, but it's a massive game for what I assume will be a centre-back partnership if we do continue with if we do go with four at the back. I'm assuming it will be Socrates and Mustafi that started the season that weren't convincing at all, but that seems to be our most effective centre-back partnership at the moment. Shame Rob Holding's out, because I think he'd be perfect for this game. Koscielny, I worry about him in this game. I don't think he's got the pace or the technical ability to keep up with some of the quick, fast, agile players that Chelsea have got going forward. So I would go with the back two of Socrates and Mustafi. And then in the midfield, I think it pretty much picks itself. Xhaka playing as the deep-lying playmaker. He's got to cut out those errors from his game. I think he's led to more errors. His errors have led to more goals than anyone else in the Premier League at the minute, which is just... It's not good from a player that's got so much responsibility in midfield, but what he does bring to the game as well is vital to how we want to play. I'm sure he'll be a lot better when he's got Torreira alongside him. And then in the midfield too, just in front of Granit Xhaka, I'd be going with Aaron Ramsey. I know he's off, but we need him at a minute. We really do need him. We need to flood that midfield, and he's going to be an important player in this game. I doubt he'll start. I really doubt he'll start. But if he does, I want to see Torreira alongside him, and just ahead of him, Mesut Ozil, another player that could well be off. And then in the front two picks itself, Lacazette and Aubameyang. I'd love to see that team. I don't think it will start, to be honest. I think we're going to be looking at three at the back again, which puts a lot of responsibility on our wing-backs, Bellerin and Kolasinac, and maybe it will look better when we've got those players in the team. So maybe if we do go with back three of Koscielny, Socrates and Mustafi, which didn't look great against West Ham, and then we have Bellerin and Kolasinac at wing-back, a midfield two of Torreira and Xhaka, and then maybe Mesut Ozil in behind, who I doubt will start this game as well, with Lacazette and Aubameyang leading the line. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but I'm just very concerned about this game. I really am. If we lose it, if we don't get the win, then that really does put us under so much pressure to finish in the top 4, and I think it's going to be exceedingly difficult for us. But it's just such a mess what's going on at the club. We've got players like Mkhitaryan on 200k a week, who's coming into his late 30s, signing short-term solutions like Socrates, like Aubameyang, who've got limited time at the club. It does feel like we've got a massive reshuffle to have at Arsenal, but that can't come soon enough, really, and I think we've got to accept as football fans that the club we want to be is some years away still, which is very painful to say, and it's very painful to imagine that we might have to suffer another few years of this. But I mean, we've gone through worse times for sure. Well, I say worse times, we're not even getting Champions League football at the minute, so I want the football to be good, and it has been at times this season. Let's not forget how well we played against Leicester, but against West Ham it was just so poor. It was so poor. I think the team lineup was completely wrong. And one player that I really don't want to see anywhere near the starting 11 is Guendouzi. I don't think he was particularly bad against West Ham. I don't think he's been awful this season, but I just find it crazy that we're putting... I'm not going to keep saying it because I think we're all thinking the same. I don't want us to be putting this much pressure on a 19-year-old. It's insane that he's coming into the team and playing all these games. He's good, but he's not there yet. It's as simple as that. We might as well play Joe Willock every week if we're going by the logic that we want to give young players a chance. Arsenal Football Club isn't a nursery. It's as simple as that. I really like the guy, and I think he's got a great future and can be a great footballer, but you know, we shouldn't be mollycoddling players. We've got players like Aaron Ramsey, Mesut Ozil, who aren't getting in the team because of someone like Matteo Guendouzi. And that's not to discredit Guendouzi at all. As I say, I think he's got a fantastic future ahead of him, and it's not his fault that he's having to play all these games. But I just think we need to be playing more experienced players ahead of this guy, because we're a serious organisation, and I just don't think it's right that he's getting as much football as he currently is ahead of players like Ozil, like Ramsey. But, you know, that's just my take on it. I'm sure that hopefully we'll see a more improved team lineup. I don't want to see 3 at the back, as I say. If I do, then I want to see players in their correct positions, and I want to see a very attacking team going forward. I really want us to go for Chelsea in this game. Start the game quickly, get a couple of goals, because we are capable of it. We've shown it against Spurs, we've shown it against Liverpool the first time round that we played them. We are capable of scoring against big sides, but it should be an entertaining game nonetheless. Hopefully it just ends with a scoreline that's in our favour. Anyway guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Please do let me know your score predictions in the comments box below. I'm not going to predict for this game, really don't want to. Drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe to AFC Game by Game if you are new to the channel. And as always, I'll see you very, very soon. See you later guys.